interests me is to look at the labor acts in full and look at some case law. There's so many case law. I met with a lawyer yesterday, and the lawyer was really, he was shocked when he got some case law. I didn't even know he is a lawyer until we started discussing, and I got to know that there are so many things he didn't know, and try to, but again, eventually learned the hard way when we started bringing up case law to support our position. So I'm going to be talking about NHF today. The NHF simply means it's quite an elaborate act of the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I'll just pick the areas that concerns us there, and then we'll move straight to question and answer. Housing due to housing deficits, and to a very large extent, that time the government had the intention to put this act into use in 1992. Excuse me, basically to enable people own a house or renovate their house or their houses, as the case may be. So it's a federal government scheme, and it enables Nigerians above the age of 21 in a paid employment and self-employed. In a paid employment and self-employed. Many people don't know that if they are self-employed, and if they are self-employed, they can access this. So it enables Nigerians above the age of 21 and those that are self-employed, that's according to Section 10 of the Act, to be able to get a loan funded by the government at a very low interest rate. So members of the scheme are required to contribute 2.5% of their monthly basic salary to the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. So again, the 2.5% of their monthly basic salary will be given, and it should be paid within 1 month of deduction by their employer. The same thing applies to a self-employed person. If you're self-employed and you earn revenue, you're expected to pay 2.5% revenue, not basic, except you are on salary. If you own an organization, you're on salary, then we'll take your basic. But if you are not on salary, it's 2.5% of the amount you earn that you contribute to this scheme. So the maximum amount that you can access under this scheme by government is 15 million naira. Initially, it was just for individual, but now it has been restricted to other institutions. Now, if you borrow this amount, again, it's good to let you know, okay, we'll talk about that later, some other conditions attached to this borrowing. But you should know that your repayment should not exceed 30 years, and your per annum interest payment is 6% on a discounted level, so 6%. So let's quickly look at some facts about this. First, we need to look at who can apply, the purpose, how you can apply, the security, how much you can apply for. And again, we look at institutional borrowers like the banks, insurance, and mortgage, primary mortgage institutions, and other things for us to know. Now, if you're in paid employment or self-employed, if you check section 14, it actually talked about self-employed also. I mean, sorry, section 10, it talked about self-employed, who can access it. Now, the person that is entitled to this is anyone who earns 3,000 naira per annum. But the new system that was proposed is for anyone who earns above the minimum wage. There is a proposal to repeal the Act of 1992. That was attempted in 2019. It wasn't signed into law because of the tax implication. So if you're in paid employment or you're self-employed, you're entitled to it, but it must be above the age of 21. And again, you must be a contributor. You must have been consistently this months before you can even access anything. So individual borrowers who have satisfactory evidence of their flow of revenue in the past and also guaranteed flow of revenue for the future are the ones that are entitled to this loan. The payment is quite easy. It's from your salary. And for the people who are self-employed also, there will be a security of payment which you need to sign. So in many cases, if you're into trading or a personal business, or bank statement is what will guarantee them that you want to repay. Don't forget, they will follow the normal loan process. The normal loan process. Okay? Now, the purpose basically, if you check section 14 of the National Housing Fund Act of 1992, if we check that, it clearly states that you can use the loan you obtain to build a house, to purchase a house, and you are not allowed to do refinancing. Meaning you get one property, you use a loan to refinance it and all that. It's not allowed for refinancing. It's just purely for you to purchase, to build or renovate. Simple. If you check section 14 of the law, of the act, that is what it states. So again, there are usually time of audits. They carry out audits. They also carry out renovations. So if you flout these rules in the course of their investigation or audit, they may come after you, and there are penalties for that also. Now, how do you apply? Don't forget, first, you must have consistently contribute to the National Housing Fund. And again, you must, as individual, you can apply through a licensed and accredited primary mortgage institution. You cannot go directly to Federal Mortgage Bank. You go to primary licensed primary mortgage institution where you have to complete your documentation, and then you will be given consideration. So the loan application is not automatic. Don't forget, it's not automatic. The loan application also can be obtained from the same primary mortgage institution. Now, the primary mortgage institution, they have the right to charge you for administrative fee that is restricted to certain margin. I can't remember, but it's something that is highly regulated, extremely regulated. Now, in applying, there are some documentations that you will need to provide as evidence that you can repay the loan back, and as evidence that you have, in fact, as far as the evidence of your age, they take all those documents from you. So you must have complete documentation. One of the biggest problems why people are not able to access that loan is documentation problem. Don't forget, documentation problem. And again, you can acquire property in any area or any location within the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Any location within the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You know, it's that you note that. The property, the residential accommodation is usually the security. Security this time around collecting is usually the house that you are purchasing. That is what will be the collateral. But it must also have valid documentation like the certificate of occupancy or registration of occupancy is very important. You can have deed of assignment, deed of sublease, You can have letter of allocation if it is within an estate. Then the property must conform with all standards, the town planning laws, regulations, environmental laws, and all that. It must align with the loan. And again, the property must be insured against hazard. Many houses in Nigeria are not insured. Many are not insured. But if you need this loan, you need to insure your property that you want to use the money for. So, and again, the application must have a fire insurance, mortgage protection policy that you must obtain from an accredited and licensed insurance company. So let us know that this is very important. It's huge documentation that you need to provide. So the loan will be secured by the first legal mortgage between the applicant and the primary mortgage institution. Now, you can apply for up to 15 million naira, but as an individual, you cannot collect more than 90% of the value of the property. You cannot. So if a property is 10 million, they can only disburse 9 million to you. If a property is 14 million, they can only disburse 90% of that money to you. So they expect you to have the remaining portion. And you have to be very careful in the valuation of properties. I have seen instances where people overvalue properties in order to obtain this money from the Federal Mortgage Bank. And if they get to do audit and they get to know, you may be blacklisted in such a way that the credit bureau will put your name on a blacklist. You cannot obtain loan anywhere in Nigeria. As far as Nigeria is concerned, you cannot obtain loan anywhere again. So you have to be very, very careful. And the question you ask me is this, which is a very common question. If you want to buy a house of 30 million, okay, and you have 15 million naira your own, and you need to access this 15 million naira from Federal Mortgage Bank, and they know that the value that you have is 30 million, but you need 15 million naira from them. They are willing to give you that 15 million naira, but you must domicile the document of the entire property with them so that if at any instance anything happens, they'll be the first person to recover their money. And the fact that you're adding your money to it doesn't mean you shouldn't have complete documentation. It is a must. You must have complete documentation. Again, one of the challenges people have with getting this fund is at times, this PMI also, they have access to some of this funding. So it rather becomes competitive. And people, they are tired of it. At times, I've seen someone, I don't know how true it is, it took almost a year plus, about 14 months or 15 months before you could access this money. It took that long. So we need to be it's something that can take a longer period, a longer time. So institutional borrowers like real estate and construction companies involved in direct house construction may also apply for the NHF loan. In fact, I'll tell you that before it used to be restricted to individual, but it has moved to these institutional borrowers. And again, I learned, I don't know how true it is, they're trying to restrict the institutional borrowers because, of course, they have all the documentations and everything to get this loan to pay. As of December 2020, the housing deficit in Nigeria was 17 million. I remember 2-3 years ago, the housing deficit was around, about 3 years ago, the housing deficit was around 21 million. But with the rapid development in the real estate business in Nigeria, they've been able to close that gap of 4 million. But again, the gap that was closed was not funded by the government, it was rather funded by individuals who are successful, let me use that word. So other things that we should actually note is that the ownership of this NHF account has to operate it for a specific period. And one PMI to the other, but it's very important. In fact, the PMIs will tell you that you should do above 6 months. Some will ask you to do up to 12 months. I've been involved in this project before. My elder brother had some set of properties that he really wanted to sell, and he had to go through the PMIs. The PMIs got individuals who applied for NHF loan to buy of this property from very well about it. But again, it's good you are consistent in the operation of the account so that you can have access to this loan. It will give the PMI the opportunity to have a good number of applicants, and again, it saves them processing costs. Don't forget that even if you obtain this loan and you are repaying, according to Labor Act, there's a portion in Labor Act that cannot go, but I'm very sure that the repayment of loans should not exceed 1/3 of your net income. So it should not exceed 1/3 of your net income. But again, many times the disbursements are done in installments because they believe that you are either building or something. But if you need to do an outright purchase, they'll go and value the property and make sure. See, the fact that you come and tell them that a property is X amount doesn't mean they don't disburse the money to you and close their eyes like that. No, they take valuations and make sure that that's the actual amount, so that they're not giving you money that you go and use to marry the second wife. That's what they meant. So before you access the loan, what are the things you need? You need to open an account with a primary mortgage bank. I don't know how many of us have account with primary mortgage bank here, but if you don't have, you need to open. There are a lot of primary mortgage banks around. If you want to know their list, go to the website of the Federal Mortgage Bank. You'll find it there. I used to have my former boss as their director. I don't know how far now. Maybe I'll still have to find out one or two things from him. Then make sure that your contribution is consistent. See, failure to even contribute to it according to Section 20 of the NHF Act is an offense. But the penalty is so unreasonable. If your organization fails to remit, they'll be required to pay 50,000 naira. And if you fail to remit, they'll be required to pay 20,000. So, all those things are quite very, very funny. Then you must have this evidence of flow into your account. Your bank statement is one of the evidence they will need. And again, you must submit valid title of the documents of the houses, or the house rather, that you intend to purchase. Then you have your survey plan, approved survey plan by an accredited surveyor. Please note this statement: an approved survey, accredited surveyor. It's not just any surveyor that they will take. Okay, you need to know that. And many times the PMIs have these surveyors on their lists. So you need an approved building plan. You need price. There is what we call blank BOQ, bill of quantity. Don't submit that; they won't take it from you. Okay. You need a priced bill of quantity, and you need valuation report. I did mention that later, and letter of consent. Also, to mortgage, to your choosing primary mortgage institution. That letter of consent is to mortgage your property, which it's a form of remedial action. So you need to also apply for the loan. It's not automatic. You need to apply. You need to put your offer letter, and acceptance, and allocation letter. If it's a government project, maybe they allocated the lands to you or they allocated the house to you, you need to put the offer letter and add to it. Again, if it's a kind of registered or self-employed person, your MEMAT, your article and memo of your association, you need to add to it, and your certificate of incorporation. These are very, very important. Everything will be verified. So let me leave room for question for that. If anyone has a question, I can respond to it. And please drop your question in the chat room, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful section. If you have any question, just as you have said, you can drop your questions now so that it can be attended to. Or you can just raise your hands and you'll be called upon to ask a question. Questions, please.
All right. All right. Thank you and happiness. We really appreciate you. While we are expecting participants on the call to put forward their questions, I have one or two areas to take our prof on. Prof, when you were explaining the nitty-gritty surrounding the National Housing Fund, there are some areas that I see as if is a gray area. Now you said that this loan, I mean this, NHF actually works with mortgage banks. Now, if uh, you are entitled to repay the loan for the period of 30 years, 30 years, you have 30 years to pay this loan now. So probably something happens, somebody dies on that loan, and you have already got a mortgage for house on that. What happened? Will the mortgage bank take over your properties, or will they ask your family to pay off, or what happened in that event? So I want you to answer that one before I'll come forward with other questions, sir. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, if the person dies and the person has not finished paying, the house is mortgaged, is under, how would I call it, like a automatic remedial recovery mode. So the family can continue to repay, and where they cannot do that, automatically the PMI will go after to recover the house. It happens in all jurisdictions.
Okay. All right, sir.
Okay,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. There's a question here.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, Victor is asking, is it compulsory for every organization to have NHF, just like we have for pension? Is it actually compulsory?
It is compulsory. Failure to adhere or comply with it, according to Section 20, we attract a penalty. It's only that they are not, the Federal Mortgage Bank is not enforcing it. That's why people are getting away with it.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So, happiness, a minute, please. So, okay, now, we actually titled this series as HR and my entitlement. A part of the entitlement we believe is your what's it called, NHF. Now, what happened in the instance that company fails to remit it? Can I mean, what do you advise employees to do? They need to write to NHF, or should they need to go through and mortgage bank, or how do you want them to address the issue if some employers face to do that? That's number one. Number two, is it possible, though it's mandatory, is it possible that employees will say, sir, thank you for trying to put us on this scheme. However, we have come together as union and we say we do not believe in federal government. We do not believe in this scheme. Thereby, please extend us from this scheme. Are those two? I want you to please help us to address those two questions, sir. Thank you, Prof.
Employee to say that they don't believe in the scheme.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir. That employee say
it's not negotiable. No employee can say that to an employer. An employer who fails to do that, it's a criminal offense. You can't even do that. It's because it is not enforced. If it is enforced, you cannot gather and say you don't want it. It's not possible. Do you get my point? So you cannot wake up one morning and say you are forming union, you are forming this, you don't want that. It's not sustainable. You see, if you have an act that is signed into law, it becomes a law. If you break it, you're a criminal. And I can say many people are criminals for not even paying it.
Wow. Oh, all right. That's the second question. The first question I asked was, I think, do you remember the first question I asked you, sir? That
No,
if
no,
employers fails to remit this, what should the employees do? Should they need to write to a government and officials in charge of this scheme, or how best do you
right,
think they can address it?
right to federal public bank. In fact, if they fail to remit within 1 month, their right is to remit within 1 month. If they fail to do that, then you can take them up. You write to Federal Mortgage Bank and they will defend you.
All right, that's fine. So, okay, we want to. All right, we want to open the floor again for contributions, questions, or you have a personal experience and to share with us. Please feel free to just request to unmute and we give you a space of time. Please let us know as soon as possible. Why I will still need to say a few things. You see, and employees have some attitude. They're always interested in their nets. Sometimes they say, you know what, please, we don't want, can you come out with a way that we don't want to pay payee? Like what Prof was telling us while he was, putting us through the session, he was trying to tell us there are some requirements we need to assess this scheme. If you want to request for 90% of this thing, they will see ask you to produce your task clearance, whether you are paying payee or not. So if you are working in a place and the employer is not, working on getting a task card for you, also you need to take your employer on that. You need to take your employer on that. So there are some things that will be necessary for you to get this scheme and to get the benefit of this scheme. Your task card must be there. Then also there are some other requirements they will make of you in terms of your pay slip. Yes, your pay slip too. Then also you need also to work together with a microfinance bank. I mean a mortgage bank. I'm very sure that in the advanced countries, uh, most people who actually own house, they do that through mortgage bank. And because it has not really been working very well for us in a developing nation like ours, both mortgage schemes and also insurance. But I believe one day we'll get there very soon. So we still want to know if anybody's on the call who have questions or concerns or experience to share with us. Please feel free to share with us before we call tonight's session a call, or probably uh, Mr. Adeyemi would like to just chip in one or two things regarding ITF, Industrial Training Fund. Just one or two things if there's nobody who want to ask questions or who want to contribute on this topic.
Don't let us talk about ITF today. We work with NHF, so
Okay.
that I don't rush all these things. People should
Okay,
know
sir.
and we take time to explain things to them.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Let me carry out a survey now. So people are a bit shy. How many of us in our various working place that we are on this scheme? How many of us on this call that currently your organization put your company on this scheme? Okay. Abimbola raised a hand. Okay. Okay. There's a question for you. Happiness, please, can you help us to please read the question? The question for.
Let me read the question so that we save time.
All right.
NHF, not all companies adopt this. What is government doing to address this issue, as you cannot singularly take your employer to government? You can take your employer to government. Nothing stops employer is not paying. See, section 20 of NHF says clearly that if your employer is not paying and all that, you can take them to court. Who says you can't? I mean, you can take them before the before the, what's it called? Federal Mortgage Bank. Nothing stops you. What government is not doing is the compliance. Government is not enforcing compliance. So people are getting away with it. And I know people that force their employer to pay for them. They write their employer that the employer should pay. So before you even get to Federal Mortgage Bank level, don't forget, the payment is not from your employer, it's deduction from your salary. So don't think it's employer's contribution to your money. No, it's your money. So it's just like telling your employer that, please, you need to deduct part of my money and pay to so person. That is does it. So don't think that is the money is coming from the employer's pocket. It's coming from your own salary. So if you are earning salary, you instruct your employer. I don't think any reasonable employer should find it difficult to debit you and credit this thing, the Federal Mortgage Bank. Thank you. Any other question? Is it a good time to say goodbye?
Okay, so thank you so much for your response. Okay, I think we have one hand up. Moses, can you unmute?
Okay.
Question.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Okay.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think I really appreciate this section. Actually, in my organization, we are presently trying to implement the NHIF. Sorry, we are still trying to implement the NHIF. Okay, presently, and then, but it's sad to say that most employers do not even think about this, how much more of applying them. Okay, I'll relate a personal experience of my last place of work before my present employer. The experience there is very poor because even salary is difficult to even get your salary. As I speak to you now, they're still owing me like 3 months salary. They're still owing me for the whole period I worked there. My pension, pay, they're all with them. Okay. Actually, I've consulted a lawyer, so we're trying to like work towards that, how to get the case addressed in the court. But my question now is, what do you do in cases where you have this kind of employers that do not care at all about their employees? You bring out the policies, the law, and you try to share with them, support with a memo, and nothing happens. They know about it, but they don't just care. What happens?
Nothing happens. Take them to court. Simple. If you know your rights and they are not meeting up your obligation, take them to court. It's so unfortunate that in this part of the world, you see, I'm so sorry to say this. If Africa continues never meet up the global standard, we never get out of where we are. We even go worse. I know a young lady that the CEO, she resigned. She served a 1 month notice period and everything. She followed 1 month. The last day of leaving, the CEO woke up and told her that, in fact, I don't want to read the message to you. It was extremely dehumanizing. And those people that, in fact, the CEO is one of the HR thought leaders that they shout around. I don't want to mention names. And he said he calls short and determine what happens to our career. That's derogatory. I had to advise her, get a lawyer take them to court, slam them with 5 billion naira charge against them. By the time you start dragging it back and forth, the man will come and beg you. And it will be a lesson. She said, no, I don't want to do that. In case another employer will not say I'm taking one person, take everybody to court, become rich by them. And if they, you see, they have more to lose. That's what a lot of people don't know. Many employees don't know that your employer has more to lose. People don't know. If you take that legal step against them and it's becoming something that their client is aware and their clients know that they have unethical practice about their employees, it counts against them. It doesn't happen abroad. It doesn't happen abroad. And you just go, I mean, somebody's owing you for 3 months. Is that not wickedness? Sorry that my voice is a bit high. I feel very, very terrible about it. You wake up, you leave your house, you take a risk to be on the road, to go to the office, do his work, come back home, and probably you have family to feed, and it doesn't give a hoot about you. And guess what? This same guy is traveling abroad on first class to London and America for holiday, and he'll come and tell employees that there is no money. You ask for your money, he throws you out and say, I fire you and I will not pay you. There's nothing short of slave. That's nothing short of slave trade. Sorry for my voice. I'm so passionate about things like this. So please, Moses, if you don't have a lawyer, I can recommend one to you. Thank you.
All right. All right. From me, before I will call it short on my side, I don't know whether anybody have any question. From me, sir. Sir, I want to ask you a question for HR guys. Anyway, you see, I want to suspect that even some employers, they don't even know how to go about it. And I can tell you for sure, sir, that some employers they even want their management team, people who are management team with them, to advise them on proper SOP. So I want to say, sir, on your advice, how will you advise an HR person on this call to introduce this on in their various companies? How should they go about it? How should they advise their employers? Since employers are not the one paying this money, it is for the employees. So how best is the HR person to convince them to, start remitting for the
See,
employees? Thank you, sir.
there's something in negotiation where you look at, the expectation of the other party. For you to, as an HR person, to make your employer begin to comply, you need to understand the tenets of this act we're talking about, in and out. And that's one of the reasons we're having this conversation. The next thing you should do is to draw a business case in terms of the values, even for the employees, telling the employees that, see, if you subscribe to this, this is the benefit for you. So there is need first for awareness on the part of the employees and all that. Guess what? This is not a cost to the employer, don't forget. It's a cost to the employees, 2.5% of their monthly basic. And it's tax deductible. You understand? It's tax deductible. So it has more
For
benefit for
non-accounting
you.
people, for non-accounting people on this call, tax deduct. I mean, not tax deductible means that they will not charge tax on it. Ordinarily your gross tax will be deducted, but they will not charge tax on it. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so it's tax deductible, and you have that benefit, and you can also have access to. There is no guarantee that you get the loan. That's the truth. There is no guarantee. But again, it's an opportunity for you to say that you are entitled to the loan whenever the opportunity comes on. Who tells you tomorrow that federal government cannot pump 2 trillion naira into that federal mortgage bank to meet the housing deficit that Nigerians are facing? So it can go either way. So it's just best to build a business case, let employees know the value, do sensitization and awareness, let the business case be sent to the management of the organization, let them approve. And if they choose not to approve anyway, you're eating your cake, but you're not having it. So it's a simple thing. because it's not all policies, it's not all what is right that will be acceptable by management and even by employees. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We want happiness to help us to take. Okay, Mr. Adeyemi, any final remarks from you?
Yeah, can me ask a question? Please, what happens to your contribution in situation where you can't access the loan? Your contribution is there. Simple. You can't go and say, give me my contribution back. Don't forget that this contribution sits in your account. The credit, you see it in your account, but you can't withdraw it. You are just using it as a leverage to get. So you can go as far as getting the loan anytime. So from my own end, I just want to please advise people that you need to read a lot about these regulatory documents. We are in a country where many people find it difficult to read. You know, we have a lot of privileges, we have a lot of things we need to know about regulatory standards, case law, and all that. Read, I mean, I don't know how many of us have read the Constitution of Nigeria. It gives you your fundamental right. You need to read the Labor Act, the Trade Union Act, the Pension Act, the Pension Reform Act of 2014. So many of these things, it just gives you knowledge and it makes you know your rights and better ways to even go about your job. More importantly, please read case law. These case law are very sweet. It guides you on so many things to do. So that's the final remark from me. Thank you for having me. And I do wish everyone good night.
Thank you so much, sir, for this session. It was really, really insightful. I mean, and it's an eye-opener for all of us here. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. I believe we can always call upon you anytime, you know, for more insightful topics, and we'll get your response. Once again, thank you so much for tonight. It's always good having you here. God bless you. I'll be handing over to Mr. Beniza now for the closing remark.
All right. We also want to thank every one of us who joined us on the call tonight. Really and truly, the purpose of this session is being able to guide employees and even some of our employers who normally join us for on their employment life. What should be their benefit? Also, in any way, they need to contribute to their own employment also. So each time we gather on the call every 2 weeks is both to help employees how to gain the best from the employers and also how to put in the best. Transforming ordinary employees to talents. That's why we spend time almost every 2 weeks. So by the grace of God, next 2 weeks, Wednesday, 30th of June, Wednesday, Mr. Adeyemi will be rounding up or will be giving us the third session in this series. And it's going to be 2. So I want you to please invite your friend. Understand that a lot of things that happened this night. Number one, people thought it's our usual 8:15 p.m. in the evening, not knowing that because of our prof, we have to adjust it a little bit because it goes to church on Wednesday. And number 2, that the password, we didn't remember to share the password with them on time. So a number of people have been, trying to call and the rest. That's why we have this number on the call tonight. But I'm sure that they will follow us up on YouTube. I want you to please, if you have anything you've gained tonight, how you need to address your boss, you can write. Some of your management team their mind may not even be there. There's a way you need to write that since this one is our money, you remove from our money. If nothing is coming from your own side, but we want to have it as a privilege. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing you next 2 weeks. Thank you to the prof. We want to appreciate you. We want to appreciate you for how your new role and how and your task schedule, yet you still made it up for us. Thank you. You are very, very kind. You are very, very kind. Thank you for our mentors too and our patron, Mr. Shegun Akoni. Thank you for always showing up. Thank you for your support all the while. I want to thank every member of our team for your work. Thank you so much. May God reward us. From me to you, I say have a wonderful night rest. Bye-bye. 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 You can mute yourself and greet yourself.
Bye.